Hello folks, welcome to the canal Channel Jose. Today we're going to give you an idea of what water fluctuation is on a water system or a plumbing system. So fluctuation is a condition where the water changes pressure from suddenly from higher to lower pressure on the water system. So we're going to give you a close look about what that means on a drawing, and we're going to show you an actual scenario of what that fluctuation can be. So on a water system, the purveyor or the city water or the supplier has these big pipes that they're in big size, so the water travels and it goes into your house. So you got a water shut off valve, and then sometimes you got a meter for the purveyor to, so you got a meter where they know how much water you're using. So it goes through, and then it goes into your house, and then it becomes static. It's not moving. So once you open the valve, water comes out, and then water starts flowing again into your plumbing system to the place where the pressure has decreased, and it starts pushing water through. So now, what is water fluctuation? So water fluctuation is when you close this valve, and stop the flow. The water hits that valve, and because it's running at such a speed, the water hits the gate or the valve, and the pressure bounces back, so it becomes low pressure, and the pressure hits the high pressure that was coming in, and it bounces back into your house. So now you got, on all this system, you got water or pressure fluctuating back and forth. So you got pressure increasing at one point, and then it bounces back and it decreases the pressure, but it increases on this side, and then once it hits the high pressure, it bounces back into your system. So it becomes, and it's like a spring, it just compresses in one end, and then it has to release all the stress, so it goes back into the system. So it's bouncing back and forth. There's never an empty space. All it is the concentration of pressure that is happening on one end, then it decreases, and then it happens again. So when that happens, it makes the pipes shake, and that can create your joints to break and leak. And that's when all these water fluctuation can create big problems on your water system, because this fluctuation can make pipes to erupt, to break. And especially when you got a sink, you got more items connected to your water plumbing system, and then when fluctuation happens, that can create water breaks, and that's gonna cost you money to repair. So how you can get rid of water fluctuation? Well, you can put a hammer arresting component, or you can put a one-way check. Usually a one-way check will do a better job than a hammering arresting component, because the one-way check, you can install it somewhere when it goes into your system. You can install it right when it comes in from the city or from your supplier. So that way, if any water hammering happens on this area, it doesn't affect your house, because you got a one-way check. So once the water goes through the check, if any water pressure changes here, if you got a change of pressure, that one-way check will keep all the water from after as a static condition. So without that one-way check, the water will bounce back and forth, and it will break your plumbing in your house. But with that one-way check, that's going to stop the water. It's just like a door. It will let the water go in, but it will shut the door if the water wants to go back. So it only opens as water flows one way, and it will not let the water flow back. So with that said, we're going to show you a real scenario where we experience this on an item, and you can physically see how the water hammers or spits out from the item. And this is just an illustration on how the water fluctuation can happen. So the water will come into your system, and if anything any water pressure happens on the water supply system, if you don't have a one-way check in your system to isolate it from the main supplier, your system is going to be affected as well. So that's, if you're experiencing water fluctuation, you wanna install a one-way check on your system as soon as you get it from your supplier to isolate your item. And with that, let's show you the real scenario. We're having a fluctuation problems before, and I'm going to open the number 1 valve to show you that it starts spitting, and I gotta shut it down. And what happening is the fluctuation, it starts bouncing back and forth, that this backflow is gonna break internally. So if this happens, to resolve this, we gotta put a one-way check right about here. So once the water goes through, it stops and it doesn't go back and forth, so it doesn't bounce around. So we're gonna clean this area and show you that you can get rid of that problem by installing a one-way check before the backflow. And so we're gonna clean it, install it, and show you the procedures. And you'll see once we open the valve with the check that problem is not gonna be there anymore. And let's open this spigot and see what happens. Nothing. But as soon as I close the spigot, look at what happens. The backflow starts spitting back the water. So I have to shut the valve so it doesn't break the components inside. So we have measured how much we gotta cut out where the one-way check is gonna be installed. So we gotta measure, cut this piece out, put the check, and then once we put the check, we'll show you what happens to the problem. Okay folks, to install this one-way check, which you see the arrows here, that the water coming in through here, and once it goes through, it doesn't go back, and this is appropriate. So we gotta install it right about here, and this is how much the pipe into this check goes, about that much in, and on the other side it goes in this much. So what we have to cut pretty much is just this part right here out, so it fits and the pipe doesn't change the length. So that's how much we have to cut out between this mark and this mark is coming out, and then we'll put all the pipe in and then pro press this. So this is the one check that we're gonna put in there. We're gonna use a special tool to cut this out. So we're gonna clean the inside with a reamer, and then once we do that, both sides, we put the check, and then we pro press it, and then we start putting the backflow back together and see the results. So as you can see, we cut off this much off of it on the pipe. So now we insert the one-way check in there. So as you can see, the length of the pipe hasn't changed. So we just pro press that and we should be good to go. Okay folks, so we have pro pressed one side, and then we are gonna press the other side. And one thing I want to say is, when you put in a one-way check into a water system, you want to make sure the arrows are pointing the right direction, and check that the one-way check is gonna be working with the flow of water. Otherwise you have a problem if you install it backwards, so make sure on that. Folks, we have installed the one-way check. Before for the backflow, and now we have the number 2 shutoff valve off, and we're gonna replicate the problem of opening the spigot before the backflow, and then we're gonna see if the check is gonna do any good for the fluctuation problem. So we open it, we close it, and as you can see, minimum or almost no water came out of the backflow. Like before, it would just keep speeding and speeding. So this is a solution to a fluctuation water on a line. You put a one-way check, and the water before is gonna bounce, but anything after that is gonna stay steady. So that's gonna help or prevent broken pipes in your system. So we wanted to share that with you. So it was pretty simple. We remove the backflow, cut, put the check, pro press it, and put it in back. We put everything back, and now we have fixed a fluctuation problem on this backflow. And well, folks, this was an idea what a water fluctuation is. It's a condition where the water increases and decreases pressure at one point, and then it makes the increasement of pressure at the other end, and then it comes back and it makes the pressure increase again. That happens when you shut a valve and you stop the flow of water. So if you don't have a one-way check, that might be the problem on your plumbing when you hear all those pipes rattle or shake or vibrate, because you're experiencing a condition of water fluctuation. That can cost you money, and that usually happens when you open and close a valve. So if you're experiencing this scenario, you might want to put a one-way check as soon as the water comes into your house, so that way you don't spend money on expensive repairs or floodings on your house. And the one-way check is gonna cost you not much, but it's gonna save you a lot of money. So, and you know, the systems on your house has different pipings. We just expose what the fluctuation might be, and it's a pretty simple fix to a water fluctuation. So like I said, there's 2 things you can do. You can put a one-way check and a hammer arrestor, but a hammer arresting is only a spring-loaded internal tube, and that it can make even worse. Sometimes though, they'll just bounce back and forth. They don't work right. A one-way check will just let the water flow one way, and if it wants to come back, it doesn't let it go back, because it closes as soon as the water wanna go back. So that's the advantage of the one-way check. So with that said, folks, if you like this video, give us thumbs up, share it, and we'll see you soon with more videos here in el canal Echano Jose.